Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Oh, you stupid motherfucker!
You're gonna find me dead! I'm gonna kill myself!
Hit the fucking guy! What the fuck is he doing?
I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom!
They got the leg!
Don't ask me to do nothing! This is nothing!
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Steel Here podcast, where I'm your host, Kevin Adams, alongside my partner in crime, Jersey Jerry. Jerry Don, is it crazy for us to say we should be maybe out on the Steelers until they actually beat a good football team again?
No, I don't think it is because, yesterday or 2 days ago when we were on the phone, you were like, Jerry, when's the last time the Steelers beat like a team like the Bills, a team like the Chiefs, a team like the Eagles? And I said to myself, like, I don't know. Like, besides division rivalries like Ravens and Browns and Bengals, like, those really don't count, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I really don't remember. One thing I am today is, during the game, I was like really, really, really mad. I was really pissed off. I just walked off the stream after the game was over. I sit here today and I'm like really disappointed. I'm like really, really, really disappointed. And you know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of watching a Mike Tomlin press conference and he's like, we got to execute better. We got to do this better. We got to get back to the basics. Why don't for the one time you say I need to be better? I physically need to be better. I need to be a better coach. I need to put my players in position to win these games. The thing is this. You can have a loaded roster, right? And you can have a roster that's really shitty. Both of those teams can win football games. Coaching is really, really important. And I feel like Mike Tomlin has done a really, really poor job of taking accountability. Like you brought up a good point through text messages the other day. Steelers held on to Gunner for 2.5 years.
Yep.
And the Giants cut him in a couple days.
Yeah.
This teams hire offensive coordinators, right? They start a season and they're fired in 8 games. Like, Mike Tomlin has done a really poor job of having his teams ready for football games. He's done a poor job of keeping coaches on too long. He's done a poor job of having Pro Bowler, All-Pro studs on defense. And us, right? Us as a team just not able to win a football game. He's done a poor job of putting this offense together with Matt Canada. He's done a poor job with us not being able to run the football. And listen, I get it. People can say, well, Najee stinks, or Kenny Pickett sucks, or George Pickens can't run a route.
Yep.
Man, you think Bill Belichick, you think Andy Reid would put up with some of this shit? Never in a million years, dude. Never.
It's what I don't get, Jerry. You know, you said a lot there. You said a lot and things that I want to circle back to. The first being, who have the Steelers beat in the last since 2021? Jerry, I'm going to run down the last maybe great Steelers win was when we upset the Bills in week 1 of 2021. That honestly might be the last time that we've beaten.
Was Diggs on the team then?
A good football team. Yeah, he was. Remember, we went up to TJ held out. We went up to Buffalo, started the season, beat the shit out of Josh Allen, rattled him, and then we just fell apart, the rest of the way through there.
Do you remember the final score of that game?
I'm looking at it, 23-16.
Still not 25, 30 points, but okay.
Jerry, you're talking 3 years. It's been 3 seasons since we've beaten a legitimately good football team. So, we get wound up. We get excited. Like, oh, it's we've turned the corner. When we beat the Rams, I legitimately thought maybe we had turned the corner and we could get something going. And then we take 1 step forward and it's 5 steps back. Sunday's game against Jacksonville, just told me for the last time, I'm not going to get back on this fucking hype train until we legitimately beat an actual good football team that is not in division. What the Steelers are good at is beating teams like the Browns, who are pretty good, the Ravens that are pretty good, the Bengals that are pretty good, because they're divisional opponents and those games are always a different style of football. But when you look outside of those of in interdivision games, the Steelers don't beat good football teams. They simply do not beat good fucking football teams for whatever reason. And Sunday, you could blame it on a lot of different things, one being the officiating. The officiating on Sunday, Jerry, was arguably the worst officiated football game that I have ever seen in the NFL, and the league does not give a fuck to change it.
No, they don't care.
When you see Boswell after the game with the screenshots, Jerry, did you see the screenshots from Boswell after the game?
Yeah, and listen, what I want to make people aware of, Boswell is like the last person on the team that would ever do that.
Right.
So you know he was heated.
Fury, how can't he be? That's a 56-yarder he should have fucking throwed. You think that guy in Heinz Field on a rainy, shitty day at the end of October doesn't want to have a 56-yarder on his resume? I mean, we got pounded. We got fucking pounded on that call. And it was that call. It was the roughing the passers, Jerry. They'll call roughing the passer on Keanu Neal, and he hits him literally. And I'm going to have Nick put the clips on this episode because I've worked for 2 days to get these clips prepared for this so that you can relive this. It literally, he was getting hit while the ball was leaving his fingertips. Could not have been gone more than a third second. Kenny, the ball is out of his hands, takes 2 steps. The lineman takes 2 more steps into him and then slams him into the ground, fucks his ribs up, and no call. There's no consistency in the NFL with these fucking officials. No. And so the thing that pisses me off the most about it is we're just not a good enough football team to overcome bad officiating and a decent football team on the other side. We're just not good enough to fucking do it. And it started on the first play of the game. First play of the game, Kenny looks downfield. He has Deontay, hits him right in the fucking hands. And people say, oh, Deontay had to jump a foot in the air. He didn't have to jump a foot in the air. He had to get like 6 inches off the ground. The ball hits him right in the fucking hands, and he doesn't catch the football. Love Deontay after, he played a good game the rest of the way, but it's the little things like that. The Steelers are just not a very good football team, and we can't beat very good football teams. It is obvious.
Yeah, no, that's the bottom line. That's like the Steelers in a nutshell now. Like, I would say they're a team that beats up other worse teams, but
they do.
That's not really the case under Mike Tomlin, man. Like, they never really beat up a bad football team. They're either it's a close game or they lose. They drop those games, as you've seen with a team like the Texans, who had a complete rebuild during the first year of a rebuild with a rookie quarterback, and they hang 30 on the Steelers. I mean, my problem, my problem is obviously the offense. The Steelers, not only can't they block, they can't figure out a way to put their guys in positions to run the ball, different types of plays. They have a really hard time pushing the ball down the field. Kenny, while he completes a lot of passes, there's not enough of those like 25, 15, 30-yard passes on multiple drives a game. He'll have those type of plays, but they're like one every 10 drives.
Right.
And you kind of need that like one every couple drives, those 15, 25-yard type of plays. And we don't do a good enough job of pushing the ball downfield. Our red zone offense is not good. We can't run the ball. The Steelers have pretty much, I would say one-dimensional, but the Steelers offense is non-dimensional. They have there's no really way the Steelers can win from the offensive side of the ball unless the defense plays a perfect game. And I go back to what I said a couple weeks ago. The Steelers defense could play good, we'll lose. The Steelers could play great, and we probably will win, but there's games we will lose if they play great. If the Steelers defense plays amazing, we probably win,
And that's, to me, I've come to that realization. The defense could play fucking perfect football. we still could lose the game on Sunday. Yes. And this is something that Tomlin said in his press conference yesterday that Jerry, I immediately could feel my fucking ears starting to burn because of just how much rage was fueling my body. He says something so stupid as far as the Steelers takeaways weren't timely enough or put the offense, teed up the offense in position thereafter. Yeah. So basically he's saying that the defense, when they had three takeaways, they didn't do it in a way that was good enough for the offense to go down and score points.
Which is crazy. He keeps giving the offensive pass. And what he said also in that press conference is the Steelers, I think they had 4 straight 3-and-outs to start the game. 4 drives consecutive 3-and-out. And a reporter asked him something, and they were like, "Hey, Tomlin, Mike, does this like affect the way the end of the result is about the game?"
Are you worried about the slow starts? Are you worried about the slow starts?
Yeah, you worried about the slow starts? He's like, "Oh no, that had nothing to do with why we lost the game." How doesn't this team? They can barely score the ball in the first quarter ever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They don't score opening drive touchdowns ever. Nope. They don't score touchdowns in the first half, really, ever.
Nope.
How is that not affecting outcomes of games? Like, you get a team and they have a really hot start and they're scoring 2-3 times in the first half. Like, that's what teams do. That's what teams need to do to win football games. And teams don't wait until the third and fourth quarter. Like, and I'm also tired of people like blaming Mitch for that game. Like, hey, dude, Mitch is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, number one, okay? Number one. Mitch, it's not on Mitch to come into the game, right, and go win that football game. Yes, Mitch gets paid a lot of money. He should do those things. That's not Mitch's problem. That's the Steelers' problem for paying him that amount of money to do what he did Sunday, and that's throw fucking interceptions. So it's not on Mitch. If you want to blame anybody, blame the organization, blame the GM, blame Mike Tomlin, blame the owners for paying this guy that amount of money to come into a football game and throw multiple interceptions in a one-score game. It's not on Mitch, okay? Mitch was not the reason they lost that game.
Jerry, we didn't have a first down until there was 9:33 left in the second quarter. Mitch wasn't even in the fucking game at that point. Yeah. It's a lot of it is that the offense is just terrible. Najee is not very good. He's not very good. That's another thing. I'm putting it forward right now. Najee is not very good. I'm not coming back from it. It's going to take a monumental return for me to ever say Najee Harris is actually fucking good. He's not a good fit. He's not a good fit for the Steelers. He's fucking slow. He doesn't hit the hole very well. He doesn't have good vision. He's not a very good running back. How much do we have to see? He's just simply not that fucking good.
I think what we do as a bad job of as fans is giving too much credit for guys for like
average play.
Yeah. Like, listen, like, well, Najee will have a game where he rushes the ball for 65 yards, 70 yards, like he did the other week, scored a touchdown, and like us fans are like, oh, he's back. We got to like be really more realistic. Like, hey man, like the Steelers offense had 0 rushing touchdowns coming into that game. You know what I mean? Like, hey, they're just not very good. The running back is not good. They haven't figured out a way to get Calvin Austin, get Darnell Washington involved.
Darnell Washington got out-snapped on Sunday, Jerry. He got out-snapped by the 4th-string tight end, 12 snaps to 10. It's just that nothing they do makes sense, man. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, you throw
the interception on the interception on Mitch. Why? I get it. Mitch shouldn't have thrown it. He's throwing into triple coverage. It's a bad fucking throw. You would think a guy that is making $8 million to be a backup quarterback and is a veteran backup quarterback would not force the ball into triple coverage when it's 2nd and 2. You would just hope that he fucking wouldn't. I mean, he does suck, but that's not why we lost on Sunday. But for that, the play that he is throwing the ball downfield, for that to be Allen Robinson, which is your slowest fucking wide receiver, no doubt the slowest wide receiver that you have, for that to not be somebody like Calvin Austin is mind-blowing. It was the same route they ran to Deontay that he dropped the ball to start the game.
Yeah.
Throw it to Deontay again. Put George in that slot. Put fucking Calvin Austin in there. And put anybody else but Allen Robinson in that spot. That's where,
man.
like, these things are fucking crazy, Jerry. It's the same shit. They make bad decisions on the offensive side of the football. And that doesn't even get us started with the quarterback play has not been very fucking good. It's just, it has good. It's hard for me to continue to watch it. It's been 20 games, and every fan that watches it is starting to think the same things. Kenny needs to start. He has to. It's time to fucking get it going. It's time to get it going. It's been 20 games, man. You see Will Levis throw for 4 fucking touchdowns. Kenny has never thrown for 3. He's thrown for 2 in one game. He misses Deontay in the end zone. He underthrows George Pickens on the left sideline. So every time I hear people shitting on Canada, I agree. Canada fucking sucks, but we're stuck with him. What we're not going to be stuck with him is after this season, but Kenny is still going to be our quarterback. So if he's not making the plays that are actually there, it's time to worry a little bit about Kenny Pickett, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think what the Steelers need to decide on is, hey, okay, Kenny's your guy, right? Kenny's your guy. You have to figure out a way to utilize him the best possible way you can. And for me, what that is when I watch Kenny Pickett play quarterback, I watch him and I say to myself, outside the pocket is where he's pretty good. Agreed. He throws an accurate ball outside the pocket, and you've seen stuff like that in the Raiders game, right? You've seen stuff like that in the Rams game a little bit, where he gets out the pocket and whatnot. And the Steelers they're just not consistent at playing towards his strengths. Kenny Pickett is not the biggest quarterback in the NFL, right? For him to sit back in the pocket, take a 3-step drop, sit in the pocket, and fire one over the middle, it's a little bit harder. He's not the biggest guy. I know in paper it'll say he's 6'3". To me, he's about 6'2". But like, he's not the biggest guy. So him just standing in the pocket, I know he gets happy feet sometimes and likes to roll out, because guess what? That's what he is comfortable doing. So we have to start doing like some play action boots. You know what I mean? Get stuff over the middle. Get stuff, some slant routes coming off the backside. You know what I mean? They don't really do a good job of playing towards his strengths. And like, my thing is this. Obviously, we're friendly with Kenny, right? For me, it's like, hey, this game, you're going up against a rookie quarterback in Will Levis, a Titans team that was the biggest sellers a few weeks ago. Right. They are in total shambles, right? You have to go out there and make a statement like, hey, dude, I know shit been rough, but guess what? I'm your quarterback. I'm going to lead this team to wins. My thing is this. I'm tired of the fourth quarter clutch Kenny. I don't want to be in that position anymore. I want to see first quarter, second quarter, Kenny Pickett coming out, pushing the ball downfield, scoring points on opening drives. Like, hey, let's stop waiting till the fucking fourth quarter to do these things. It'll be a lot easier, a lot less stressful on the offense, on the team, on the defense. Have you looked at the time of possession?
It's insane. Year? We're at the bottom of the league. We're at the bottom of the league.
Last in the league in time of possession. That is they're in the bottom 3 of the league in almost every major offensive category. It is sickening. And I know we're beating a dead horse, right? I know we are. But the Steelers have to figure out hey man, do you really? And I know they're not gonna, because the bye weeks already had, trade deadline's done. They didn't make any moves.
Not a fucking
hey man,
move.
You might have to demote Matt Canada and just maybe something else will work. Maybe the quarterback's coach can call the plays, or I don't know, man. I don't know, but we're gonna be stuck with this for at least probably the end of the season. I don't really, I was really high last week on this team. I really was. But for me, when I look at this team, and people love to say the Steelers win late games and Kenny's clutch, and yeah, that's good and all. But to your point, who have the Steelers really beat in the last couple of years? They haven't
haven't.
beat any powerhouse teams. That's for
haven't.
sure.
They
They
don't.
haven't hung 30 on teams.
They don't
They
beat the
haven't
good teams.
No, they haven't looked good on offense in 3 years, dude. Like 3 years, they haven't looked good on offense.
3
that's
would
the
be
problem.
probably generous. I mean, our offense has been pretty dog shit since about 2020 first 7 games when we went on a crazy 10-0, 11-0 start. You know,
Yeah.
the Steelers offense has been pretty bad for some years, and it looks the same no matter who the players are. It's still Jerry Kenny's air yards per pass on Sunday was 4.3 yards per pass. 4.3 yards per pass. But by the same token, Trevor Lawrence was 9.3. 9.3. You're talking if your offense is designed for the quarterback to throw balls that are going 4 yards, what kind of fucking offense are you running in the NFL, Jerry? I mean, they're playing archaic style of fucking football at this point with ignorance and zero commitment to change it. Like, and that's why I'm at my wit's end with it. Sunday was a big game for me. It was an important game for me as a fan to see, are the Steelers really going to turn the corner here? Like, this is a good Jaguars team, but is still good, but you would consider yourself right there with them. In my opinion, you would consider yourself right there with them. And they showed that they are not simply right there with them. We couldn't complete balls. We couldn't run the ball well. The defense did everything they could do. They did everything they could do. And the defense, for me, is very boom or bust. You know, if they're not getting takeaways, if they're not getting sacks, they're getting gashed because the secondary is dog shit. It is pathetic. But even when they do generate the turnovers, Jerry, we had those 3 takeaways. We got 3 points from them in total. 3 points in total. It's unacceptable. We went 3 and out on two of the times. The only time we moved the ball is whenever you had DeMonte Casey's interception in the end zone and he stepped out at the 2. Yeah. We ended up going all the way down. That's when Kenny doesn't hit Deontay Johnson. Yeah. So, you know, we're not good on the offensive side of the football, but it's that they're not willing to try and address it. The offensive line is in shambles.
Mike Tomlin says nothing about the offense.
Nothing. Ever. So the fact when he said that about the defense was why I was so pissed off. Your defense had 3 takeaways. I don't give a fuck. Did you want them to take it to the 1 yard line and set it there, take a knee and say, hey, coach, come score a touchdown on offense now?
Crazy.
Like, what the fuck do you want from them? 3 takeaways is 3 takeaways, man.
Yeah, and what he has to realize, like, he has to open up the stats to the game and realize how long they have played the most defensive snaps out of any team in the National Football League.
He sees it. He knows it. He's just ignorant. He's just fucking ignorant. He won't address the elephant in the room, which is that we have a terrible fucking offensive scheme. He just won't address it. And you know, Jerry, do you know why this bums me out so fucking much? And I talked to you about this. TJ's 29 years old. Okay, your best player and top 3 player in the entire NFL is on your roster, and he's 29 years old. He turned 29 a few weeks ago. This time next year, he will be 30. So hypothetically, say Kenny has another average season, or we have a new offensive coordinator, so it takes him a year to get comfortable there, and he only looks kind of decent by the end of that. Going into the following season, then, TJ is going to be 31 years old. If you have to look at a different quarterback at that point in the game, then you're drafting one. You draft one. Rookies don't come in and win. So TJ's 32, TJ's 33, and he's past his fucking prime. We're mismanaging this situation. I say it all the time, but it's more evident by the day. We mismanaged it from the minute they brought Matt Canada back this year. He shouldn't have come back last year before Kenny started. And now you're seeing how we've burned many years, and we can't fully figure out if Kenny is good or not because the Steelers fucked this up so royally.
Yeah, I mean, you see they've wasted Cam Hayward's prime pretty much. They're wasting Minka's. They're wasting TJ's. It's gotten to the point where I'm so torn between a complete rebuild, and what I mean by that is, and I don't know how I'm going to say this, you know, without getting any heat for it, but hey, like, if Kenny, you know, isn't the guy, let's say next year and the year after, is it time to trade TJ Watt? Like, is next year the time? I know he wants to be a Steeler. I know, you know, he's not the type of person to speak up and, you know, demand certain things like you see some of these NFL players do. But, I mean, at what point are we going to need draft capital? You know what I mean? At what point, like you can't, like I want TJ to be a Steeler for life. Like he's my favorite player. He means so much to that defense when he's on the field. Like, but hey man, this league ain't about defense no more. No matter how which way you put it, it's about scoring points on offense. I mean, the Eagles game last week was the perfect game. The Commanders come out and they punch them in the fucking mouth. The Commanders are scoring up and down the field, up and down the field. What do the Eagles do when it matters? They put up points, man. They outscored them. Their defense played like shit the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? They have the offense to put up points. They have the offense to put up touchdowns on consecutive drives and whatnot. So at the end of the day, this is offensive league. I do not want to see the Steelers trade Minka. I don't want to see them next year trade TJ Watt. But at one point, are these guys going to look at each other and be like, dude, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, yeah, we love Mike Tomlin. Yeah, we love the Steelers. But like, dude, you don't think any of those guys want to win? You don't think any of those guys want to go into the playoffs and win football games? Like
TJ doesn't have a single playoff win. He doesn't have a single playoff win. So yeah, you and I have again discussed this, off the microphone, but it sounds crazy. We love TJ. We fucking love him. We would love for him to be a Steeler forever. But if you're gonna have to go through a process where you go back to a rookie quarterback, it's already too late for TJ then. The only way that this will make sense to continue to keep TJ if Kenny ends up not being the guy is if you go get a guy like Kirk Cousins, a ready-made, bring him in, play offensive type of quarterback. And we're looking, far ahead right now, but this is a very realistic thing to suggest. If the Steelers go with Kenny again next year, he ends up not being the guy, and they have to go to a rookie quarterback, you're looking at 3 years at a minimum before the rookie is in year 2 and can actually, play for a Super Bowl. Yeah. At that point, you're looking at TJ being 33 years old. His
time is done. You're not going to get, you will still get something for TJ Watt when he's 33 years old, right, bearing any major injuries, right? But guess what? You ain't going to get multiple firsts. No. But if let's just say this, right? If the Steelers traded, let's just say, TJ Watt to a team at the deadline, I can guarantee you they would have got more than 2 firsts. They probably would have got 2 firsts and a good player, 2 firsts and a third, 2 firsts and maybe even a second.
Right. I mean, at a minimum, they're getting a first and a second at like the bare bones, in my opinion, for TJ Watt. And it's not. We sound like we're being crazy because, we took a bad loss, but it's the fact that when I watch that game, it is a microcosm of what we know is a much bigger picture for the Steelers. Well, this is what we are. This is who we are, and we're not getting any closer. So if you're not going to add assets, what are you doing?
I had it in the drafts multiple times, and I didn't tweet it. I just kept on typing it, but I couldn't figure out a way to put it. And what I was going to say about 2 or 3 hours before the game was, this game is going to tell you all you need to know about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because guess what? If they came out and they won that football game, number one, we could start to say, like, okay, this team, yes, they're struggling on offense, but guess what? They're winning these games. They just beat a really fucking good football team. Like, hey, now I'm starting to think, like, this team can, not only win a playoff game, they could probably win multiple playoff games depending on where they get seated, if they get home field advantage or whatnot.
Right.
But the game that they played, you definitely realize like how far away the Jaguars were in the red zone multiple times and turned the ball over. The Jaguars should have won that game probably, I would say,
at least another score, another 10 points.
I would say at least 27. At the very least, probably should have been 30-10. It probably should have been 30-10. It really should have. That should have been a blowout. I don't know how the Steelers kept it at that close for as long as they did. Obviously, the turnovers and whatnot, but that game to me showed me how far this team is actually away. And they can say whatever they want in the press conferences, Mike Tomlin, the coaches and whatnot. We're close, we're not executing. No, man, you're not close.
and not that we're not close. We're not getting any closer. We continue to lose the same ways because the offense sucks. The defense plays good, and it's still not enough. Boswell is fucking great, still not enough. There's one giant issue with the Steelers, and it is the offensive side of the football. And until you get everybody executing, and a big part of it is because the offensive line doesn't let anybody else execute. They don't give Kenny a proper amount of time. They don't have great holes for the running backs. On occasion they do, but for the most part, the offensive line gets bullied. You suggested something earlier about why don't they run naked boots and get Kenny out? Because when they tried to do it, Dan Moore Jr. can't hold his fucking block on the outside, so he gets crashed. It happened to Mitch. Mitch ended up getting crunched because of it, because Dan Moore Jr., they tried to run a naked boot, and Dan Moore Jr. fucking can't hold a block.
Did you see the play where he blocked the guy into Najee?
Yeah, right.
Into the hole.
He as the left tackle, he blocks the guy into the hole, hits Isaac Samala, who falls into fucking Najee Harris. Like, it's insane. He's so bad, and yet they still put him back out there. Last week, we said he had a good game. This week, he's back to being dog shit. Do you know why, Jerry? Because that's what you're going to get out of a Dan Moore Jr. You're going to get a guy who's going to play good here and there, and a guy who's, for the most part, not going to play very good football because he's not a very good football player. So that's why you play your Broderick Jones. The Steelers, this is why they still piss me the fuck off. It's a simple concept. Play the guy. He's a better football player with more upside. Your line is in shambles. Mason Cole, dog shit. But one of maybe the worst center in football, dog shit. Yeah. At this point, put Herbig in there. Try something else. Why the fuck do we keep putting the same bum-ass motherfuckers out there that can't get the job done? Try something else. I would love to see Herbig in the middle of the fucking center field.
At the deadline, I said to myself two things. I didn't think we were gonna get anybody, but there was in the back of my head, I was like, you know what? Maybe they will sell a little bit. Maybe they'll sell to try to get some draft capital or nothing or something. They did nothing. So that tells me one thing, that
they're content.
They think everything's just okay. You know, they're okay with being where they're at. You know what I mean?
You know what sucks about it is that, you know, the reports came out after the fact. We're recording, it's 9:30 on Tuesday night. Today, the trade deadline ended at 4 p.m. The Steelers were in on one of probably the most sought-after players in trade, the Chicago Bears cornerback. And he's 24 years old. He's one of the best cornerbacks in football. He wants a deal where he wants to make $15 million. Allegedly, the Steelers were very close to making an offer to get him, but the Bears didn't accept. You know, and hear me out on this. That sounds awesome because the secondary is fucking terrible. And we could really use another cornerback because they made the worst decision in not cutting Mitch Trubisky, who could lose for all the same as Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph could lose just the same as Mitch Trubisky, and we could have saved a ton of money. We could have saved $6 million, which we could have paid to Cam Sutton, and then you would have had Joey Porter Jr., Cam Sutton, and one of Levi Wallace or Pat Peterson if you had to go that route. Instead, they pay Mitch, they bring him back. We have dog shit secondary. So the Steelers then want to trade assets for a cornerback who they then have to throw $15 million at a minimum to in free agency this season. And then they still don't address the biggest elephant in the room, which is the offense. So as much as I was excited to hear that we might get another shutdown cornerback and have this great secondary where we have Minka when he's healthy, Joey Porter Jr. on one side, on the other side, we have another elite cornerback. And that sounds great, but we still can't score more than 10 fucking points. So what are we doing? What are we doing if that's what they were going to do? I'm honestly glad that they didn't do that. But the fact that they did nothing, they didn't trade any players, they didn't try and recoup any assets, literally nothing, that means that they're content with this. And I'm tired of being content with average, mediocre, below the line against good teams football.
Yeah, I won't be, you know, in the offseason, I look back to when in the offseason, like, even when me and you were talking about, like, some of the guys they picked up, like, okay, yeah, we got Allen Robinson now, we got Casey now, we got the kid from Minnesota now. It's like, oh, shit, man, this team's really coming together, you know? Landon Roberts, and we're like, oh, shit, dude, this defense is going to be filthy. It's like, none of these guys have really panned out, like, at all. I mean, even Isaiah Seumalo, like,
he's bad.
Had a couple good games.
He's had a couple good games, but he's been bad.
Yeah, like, these are guys we thought coming in like, oh shit, they're going to make statements right away. One guy I could say kind of is holding his own in a way is Cole Holcomb.
Cole Holcomb, Quan Alexander hasn't been bad.
Yeah,
Those
Quan
guys have
Alexander's
shown
been
some
holding his own.
signs. Like they actually haven't been bad. They haven't been fucking incredible. They haven't been bad.
Yeah.
Pat Pete has been bad. You can just flat out say it. Pat Pete.
No, he's been the worst addition the Steelers team had.
He's been bad. But for me, the Isaac Samalo one is puzzling. The guy comes off of a great season for the Eagles last year, an unbelievable season. He's been a very good football player for them for 5 years. And then he comes here and suddenly he falls off a cliff. How? It doesn't make any sense. How do the Steelers have one of the highest paid offensive lines in football? And it is, I think it's 2 or 3 from the bottom as far as production is concerned. That to me is a lot about the scheme, the execution of the scheme, and the coaching, because there's no way you can have guys that were very successful. James Daniels is just kind of for the Steelers. Chooks makes way too much fucking money for what he does. He's not fucking good. He's a pussy. No. He's genuinely a pussy. He doesn't have like a rage bone in him. I wish he could take what I feel inside and play a football game with it, because he doesn't play like that. He's timid. He doesn't blow anybody off the ball. He's not very fucking good for the amount of money he makes. Mason Cole, awful. We've already addressed it. Isaac Samalo, who is normally a good football player, is not playing good football. And Dan Moore Jr., we've addressed. You have other guys. It's time to start putting those guys in there. And if that is what we're blaming Kenny can't get it going because the offensive line isn't giving him time, then it's time that we start to make some changes on the offensive line then too. You can't keep running the same bags of shit out there and expecting it to automatically get better. Yeah,
no, that's the thing. They haven't really switched anything up on the offensive side of the ball.
Nothing.
They're switching stuff on defense. You see from week to week, you see Porter getting more playing time. You see Porter in different positions. You start to see Pat Pete in different positions. They're trying everything they can on defense. But one thing they're forgetting is, hey, man, the defense is okay. Like they can hold their own. Yes, they're going to give up a lot of rushing yards. Yes, they're going to give up a lot of passing yards. But, hey, guess what? They make turnovers. They get to the quarterback. You know what I mean? That's not your issue, dude. Your issue is you cannot run the ball, and you can't pass the ball, and you can't score points.
And you won't change it. And
you're not doing anything about it. Like, for me, I say to myself, like, hey, dude, you have this giant Darnell Washington. Just run powers to his side. Just see if that works. You know what I mean? Just do something. Use him in the red zone, dude. Use him. Figure out a way to use him. Figure out a way to have Calvin Austin in there and run play action. Do something like that, dude. Like, they just don't do any of that. George is going to run a fly route for a back shoulder. Deontay is going to run an out route, right?
Yep.
And then that's just what they do, and that's just it. That's just how they gain yards.
It's maddening, man. It really is. And it's hard to not worry about the future when you see how bad we are right now. It really is hard to not worry about the future when you see how bad we are. Because for me, they threw the ball to George. George had 1 catch for 22 yards, Jerry. And he scored the touchdown. But he only had 1 catch for 22. And when he has the catch and he makes both of their secondary players run into each other and look like a couple of fucking idiots trying to tackle each other, and you're only getting the guy the football 1, 2, 3 times a game, it just goes to show they don't even know how to use the talented players that they have. And for me, we said it a couple weeks ago, I live by this at this point. The Steelers will never win another Super Bowl as long as Mike Tomlin is the head coach. They won't. We've seen it enough fucking times in the last 5 years. We've seen it enough times. It's not, I don't even trust him to bring the right offensive coordinator in after this season. I don't trust that we're going to get one of the guys that it would require. Here's where I'm at on, this is my official stance on Kenny Pickett. We've seen 20 games. I've seen a lot of things in these 20 games. If we were in a great scheme with an above average offensive line that gave him some time, I think Kenny Pickett could be a good to borderline great quarterback. Elite he's just not going to be an elite quarterback. Or, he won't be. You guys won't want to hear this. I am not talking shit about him. We are friendly with him, but this is we've seen enough. I have to be entirely real with myself when I say this. The Steelers are not putting him in a position to give him a good offensive line with a very good scheme and coordinator so that he can get to his ceiling. Whatever that ceiling actually looks like, they're not even letting him get close to it. And so if that's the case, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a struggling quarterback that misses some throws here and there. He's not comfortable in the pocket. And so if they're not willing to give Kenny the pieces that he is going to need to see if he can even get to that ceiling that we're discussing, then we're just fucking wasting time. And I don't believe that Mike Tomlin is going to go out there to get the pieces that it's going to take to get the best out of Kenny Pickett. Because quite frankly, Jerry, in all of these years that Mike Tomlin has been the head coach, he just simply hasn't gone out there and got a great offensive coordinator, maybe aside from Todd Haley. From Todd Haley.
That's about it. And then, so you've seen how that went south really quick. But the thing is this.
Todd Haley got the boot after scoring 42 points on the Jaguars, which was the number one defense in the playoffs. Todd Haley got the boot, not Keith Butler, who was Mike Tomlin's little fucking buddy. Keith Butler, the next year, he got to coach one more year, and then they just didn't renew his contract. So I don't ever want to hear that Todd Haley might have been a douchebag, and you've heard all the rumors about him being a swinger and going to Tequila Cowboy and getting in fights and this, that, and the other. I don't give a shit. The guy could scheme up an offense to score some fucking points. Granted, he had a great line, he had great wide receiver, great running back, and a Hall of Fame quarterback. I still think we have the pieces there for Kenny to do it. It's just that the Steelers are not willing to actually put him in positions to succeed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Here's my thing on Kenny, right? When I watch him, right, and I say to myself, okay, it's very hard to judge him because of the offense quarter. Now, here's what I will say. If Kenny Pickett goes out there on Thursday night and gets outperformed, the Titans offense is better than the Steelers offense, and the Titans offense scores more points, Will Levis throws for more yards, more touchdowns, and the Steelers offense is the same old offense, there's something really, really, really broken. Really, really broken. I don't know if it's a confidence thing or what, and it's going to be hard to judge really what he is going to be until we see him with a capable offensive coordinator. But hey, next year, if it's the same old song and dance, Steelers are going to have to ask a lot of hard questions. Yeah, exactly. They're going to have to make a lot of tough decisions, man, because this team is either going to have to do two things. They can just let it rock how they usually just let it rock, or they're going to have to rebuild, man. And the rebuild is definitely going to suck for sure. So Thursday is a huge – and listen, it's going to be hard to even get up for the game because of the way we just lost for the Jaguars. But from – an offensive side of the football, a Kenny Pickett believer, a Kenny Pickett truther, I need to see him go out there and suck it up with the bruised ribs and fucking go out there and move the ball down the field against a really shitty fucking Titans team.
I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of talking about it, Jerry. I'm tired of talking. This is when I say is my official stance on Kenny Pickett. I'm on the fence with Kenny, very hard on the fence at this point because, even when the plays are there, he's not making them, which is, we've addressed, that is a very concerning part of it. He's not making the plays when they are available to be made, but I need to see it. It's after 20 games, I'm going to need to see him go out and throw for 275 or more than 2 touchdowns. I'm going to need to see that game we've been asking for. Cause at some point, if we go through this whole season and we don't see one, it's going to be really, really, really fucking difficult for me to not think that maybe the Steelers should go out there and get a veteran quarterback, because I don't think that we are that far away on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe you draft a lineman, you sign a lineman, you go get a guy like Kirk Cousins, you sign a corner, and you're not that far off. The Steelers did just hold the Jaguars to 20 points. Okay. You don't think that we can get we don't think if we had very good quarterback play, we could have got more than 20 points out of that offense on Sunday?
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. So if this team can if this team can be, they obviously, it's tough to even say they're one-dimensional they just pass the ball because they don't really throw for a lot of yards every game. So, like I said before, there's like they like non-dimensional, but like they have to be, and like you hear it a lot in press conferences when the Steelers do score, which is very rare, but when they do score touchdowns, it's because the offense is so balanced. If you looked at all their touchdown drives this year, they run the ball, they use play action, they roll out, like they do all those type of things, and it's like when the next possession comes, like all that stuff just goes out the window. They run the ball twice, they realize they can't run it, they go in shotgun, they run fly routes or out routes, and they're 3rd and 8 or whatever like that, and they throw the ball at the 4 yards and they don't get the first down. Like that's just what they do.
A lot of that is because the O-line sucks so bad. Like that's why I think that needs to be the next thing that they look at is making a change at Mason Cole, put in Herbig, who has played some center, and put in Dan Moore Jr. at the left, or take Daniel Moore Jr. out of the left spot and put Broderick Jones in. And you better start playing Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
He's a great fucking blocker, and our offensive line is probably the biggest weakness on the offensive side of the football, that or quarterback. And so if you're not willing, you're not going to change Kenny, okay? So why are you not willing to change some of the other parts of the failure on your offensive side? What I think they should really do is line up Darnell Washington heavy, right? Even if you don't want to use him passing, line him up heavy, have him start off on a double team on the left end or right end, whatever. And then if anybody drop back, if anybody gets through, use Darnell Washington to get to them. Right.
That's it.
Right. I mean, they don't, Jerry, if you watched his tape coming out of Georgia, the guy was a monster. He was the best blocking tight end in college, maybe one of the best blocking tight ends in college football in many years. And 100%. They would line him up right beside Broderick Jones. And the two of them would dominate the left side of that offensive line for Georgia, all the way to a national title. And yet the Steelers have both of those fucking guys, and you don't see them. That neither of them fucking play. Yeah. It's the loyalty thing for me, man, is enough. And you see Dan Moore go down. I hate to say this. I fucking hate to even put this out there into the universe. But when I saw Dan Moore go down, I'm like, thank fucking God. I hope it's not career ending. But for fuck's sake, if that's what it's going to take before you get Broderick Jones in there full time, I have to support it at this point. Like they're making me crazy to the point where I'm wishing shit like that.
Yeah, I don't understand what the beef is with, like, why do you think of players like every other team in the NFL starts rookies?
Right.
Like, this ain't the fucking 90s, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, rookie comes in and he sits and he learns from the veteran. Like, no, that's not how the NFL is now. Rookies get drafted high and they fucking play. You have to know what the fuck these people have. You can't afford Broderick Jones to sit back there for a year or two to learn, and then in the 3rd year, you're like, oh shit, this guy can't play, or oh shit, this guy can play. We should have been using him
for years. That's again, it comes back to the way Mike Tomlin does things now, man. It's I could bitch about Tomlin till I'm blue in the face. There's so many things I fucking hate about what he does for this football team, but you guys know that. I've said it enough on this show. Jerry, I'm done fucking talking about it. Let's talk about the betting. Let's look at the bet. Is there anything else you want to address from the game before we move on?
No, other than like I'm really not looking forward to this game. This has probably been, I'll be honest. I'm going to be really honest. This game is probably the least I've ever looked forward to watching the Steelers play football. And I don't know why that is.
I'll tell you why, Jerry. We can't score more than 10 fucking points. Pretty obvious. That's why.
We also like have had some down years in the past and whatnot, but there's something about this game where it's like, I don't really care.
Do you know what it is? Do you know honestly what that feeling is that you're feeling? It's acceptance. It is acceptance. For the last few weeks, we were like, oh, maybe they'll turn the corner. Maybe they're going to get better. Last year you thought, well, Kenny's a rookie, so we had that excuse to lean on. And now it's like, look, all these things are Kenny has more experience. He's in game 20. They're not getting any better. They went through the bye week. We thought maybe they'd find their identity. They're not getting any better. We can't beat a good football team. It's been years of not beating any good football teams. That's not improving. You're getting to a point, like I think a lot of Steelers fans, where we're just accepting that this is who the Pittsburgh Steelers are.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get excited or even be able to lie to yourself whenever you know at your root that the Pittsburgh Steelers are just not a very good football team. And they're not doing things to make themselves a better football team. They don't show signs of life of being a better football team. You know, their coaching is not improving. They're not making any changes that are going to improve the coaching or the result on the field from the offensive side of the football. So as a fan, you can only see something so many times before you just say, well, fuck it. That's what it is. I accept it.
That's what it is.
That's why I agree with you. For me, it's hard to get up. Now, you know what the shittiest part is? The Steelers I honestly think they'll go out there and they'll beat the Titans on Thursday night. They'll beat the Titans. So you don't think that they'll beat them?
No, I don't.
I think
this short week and the way they lost that game, I feel like this is a team that's not going to get up for the Thursday night.
For me, this is exactly why they'll get up. They're still so pissed off because they feel like officiating fucked them. You heard Deontay's comments. You saw Boswell's Instagram. Everybody was pissed off about the officiating. So I think that they will get up. And this is a very Steelers. Do you know how I know they're going to win? Because it's the most Steelers-like thing that they would do. Because what do, Jerry? They beat up on the bad teams. They're going to beat the Titans, and then they're going to beat the Packers, and they're going to end up going to 6-3. You know, and we're going to then have to start to get back to, well, they're 6-3. You know, they're 6-3. They're still in the playoffs because right now, as it stands, the Steelers would be the 6th seed in the playoffs. Now, I don't see the way that we continue to lose these games. The shitty part is that we can beat the bad teams. I still see the Steelers getting to 9 or 10 wins and being possibly the 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs. And I don't. It's pissing me off to accept that because I just don't see that we make any changes if that ends up being the case. I think Canada's gone, but for the most part, we're not going to see, you know, major changes in the way that the Steelers do business because guess what? Yeah. Status quo. They made the playoffs. They had a fucking 9-win season, a 10-win season. I do see them beating the Titans on Thursday, and I think they then beat the Packers. From there, I think they get beat by both the Bengals and possibly the Browns. That's what pisses me off. Guys like PJ Walker, Jerry.
PJ Walker. Those guys are scoring points. Those guys are winning football games.
Right. So, you know, as a Steelers fan, this is honestly the most frustrated I've ever been as a Steelers fan. It's the most frustrated. Really? I feel like I'm just full of just pure rage. You know, when I was young and we were in like the late 90s, the Steelers had some pretty good teams. They were coming off the mid 90s where they went to a Super Bowl. You know, late 90s, they were in some AFC title games. They lose to the Broncos. Early 2000s, AFC title games. Mid 2000s, you draft Ben. You're in AFC title games. You win Super Bowls. You go to 3 Super Bowls. 2013, 2018, you have the Killer B era. Since then, it's been years of just what I want to say misery. That's how I fucking feel, just like miserable. I'm like the life in me is just gone when it comes to the Steelers, and it doesn't ever appear that it's going to change at any point soon.
No. For the betting segment, I'm gonna take I don't know what the line is.
So I'll do the line. So last week to recap. Jerry, you missed your bet because you took the Steelers getting +3 and you took Kenny Pickett over passing yards. I took the Steelers +3 and a Deontay Johnson anytime touchdown scorer. I mean, for fuck's sake,
he's never going to. I'm going to put it on record. He's never going to score another touchdown in his life. For the Steelers. I'm just going to go on record and say that Deontay Johnson will never score a touchdown in the Steelers uniform ever again.
That's how it feels. That's how it fucking feels, man. Yeah, that's actually good. I mean, so Jerry and I both miss our bets. So on the season, Jerry is 3-4. I dropped to 2-5. I can't buy a win right now. I wouldn't.
That's because we take the Steelers all the time.
I know. And
we take offensive props.
Do you know what sucks is I tweeted something 3 weeks ago. I said, you want to make a lot of money, take the under in every single Steelers game. It has hit under the last three games. It has hit under. This week's over and under is 36.5. The Steelers are favorites -3.
Hey, give me the Titans.
You're taking the +3 from the Titans.
Yeah, I am.
Jerry is taking the +3 for the Titans. I personally am taking the under 36.5. I'm going to take the under. Do you know why? Until the Steelers prove the Titans offense sucks too. Okay. Yes. Will Levis came out. He had 4 touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to fucking listen to it. I think that the Steelers bottle that motherfucker up on Thursday night. I do think they beat the shit out of them. And here's the thing. If they don't, I'm saying this because if they don't, it's going to be miserable to be a Steelers fan Friday and there forward. So if they don't, I'm saying I hope that that's what they do, because I don't want to accept what the life is going to look like if that's not what they do. So I'm taking the under 36.5. Jerry is taking the Titans +3. Jerry is wow, Jerry, you could really start to open up a good lead on me if you hit another one, because there's only another 8 games left after this and you'll have a 2-game lead on it. So I need to start winning some fucking bets at this point. Jerry, shout out the boys at Zeds. Yeah, you got your care package.
They sent a really sick, I posted on my Instagram story, sick Carhartt vintage jacket, which is unreal. Fire hat, fire shirt. Always send the best merch, man. Those guys are great, dude. They're really reliable. They're always sending the most up-to-date fire shit that they got. Just a good store in general, not just for Steelers, but yeah, it's a fire one.
Nice vintage Mitchell and Ness crew.
You don't really understand the vintage. You're not hip to this shit.
So Jerry, Jerry loves the vintage clothes. I'm not a huge vintage clothes fan. I do like what they have. For me, it's just I don't understand it. Why do you want a T-shirt that's 30 years old? It's just a hard concept for me to grasp. I'm also 34, so I'm older than Jerry is. So the vintage stuff, while they have fire stuff in there, it's just strange for me to wear somebody else's clothes. That's how I look at it. But the boys at Zeds, they do hook us up. They do send us some fire shit. Stop down there. There was a bunch of people that actually sent me DMs last week when they were in town for the game. They went to Zeds. I'm like, did you tell the boys that we sent you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's great. Like that's how we know that it's working. What they're doing for us, we're doing for them in return. So it's a great relationship we have with the boys at Zeds.
And their prices are very good, dude. Their prices are not crazy at all.
Yeah, every time Jerry comes in, he's like, let's stop down at Zed's. Jerry drops, all sorts of money on this shit. And I'm like, why do you buy so much of this shit when you come here? He's like, dude, Kev, if you saw how much it costs in New York or in Jersey when Jerry was still there, he's like, these prices are like dirt cheap compared to the prices that you get the stuff for where I'm from.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out the fans, Jerry. The show every single week is progressively gaining followers. It is gaining views, likes, comments, subscribers, Jerry. The show is doing really well. We love you guys. We love that you love us, bitching about it and celebrating with us. How many people come up to me at the games, excited about this show. I fucking love you guys. I love that you give Jerry and I the platform to do this show. We're hoping that it starts to be a little more exciting and a little less draining. I don't enjoy doing it. Jerry doesn't enjoy doing it. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Jerry, Don, anything you want for the people.
Yeah, the only way I would be happy next week when we record is if the Steelers put up 30 points. If they win the game 23-0, I won't be happy. I want to see a 30 burger, bro.
What if Kenny throws 3 touchdowns, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like I want to see like the offense
show life,
dominate. I want to see them take off. I want to see George to finish with 6, 7, 8 catches, Deontay 8 catches, Allen Robinson a few catches. You know what I mean? Multiple touchdowns, Najee Harris to score. Like Deontay, I want to see multiple people get their touches, multiple people score. It's just like. Every week, it's like, nobody's like, you bet these people to score, they don't score. Like, the offense just stinks. Like, I want to see a performance, and I want to record next week and be like, you know what? The Steelers came out, they put up 30 points, or they almost put up 30 points. They fucking won the game. They dominated on offense, and I'd be happy. But we're not going to get one of those games, I'll tell you that right now.
I really do think that they win on. You know what? So you're taking the +3. I'm taking the under. But a head-to-head for a bonus bet, I'll take the Steelers to win. Jerry's taking the Titans to win. How about that? Are you taking the Steelers? You think they'll lose, or you're taking the +3 for the Titans?
I think
because head-to-head, I would take the Steelers to win the game.
Yeah, I would. I would just take the Titans +3.
That's fine. I'll give you the Titans +3. I'll give you the Titans +3 for another bonus bet. So, this could really shake up the betting.
This could really ruin you.
I could be in a hole that's unrecoverable.
Because I could be up 5. Yeah. I mean, I could have 5 wins, and you can have 2.
2. Yeah, this could be unrecoverable for me if the Steelers go out here and shit their diaper. Thursday night, I invite you guys all. We're having the terrible tailgate, same Red Lot 5A. You are more than welcome to come. We had Jason Gilden there on Sunday. Jerry, you remember Jason Gilden? He was quite a monster, 92 outside linebacker, great pass rusher for the Steelers. He was at the terrible tailgate on Sunday. It poured rain the entire tailgate, and we still had over 300 people there. Like I fucking love the shit out of you guys for showing that kind of support to the tailgate. This Thursday night, we are doing Yancey Thigpen. I don't know if you remember Yancey. Jerry had some elite hands, had a wild unibrow when he played for the Steelers. Very, very good wide receiver. Yancey Thigpen will be there. And then the following week, the Steelers play at home again, the Green Bay Packers, and we have Joey Porter in the house for that game, Jerry Don. Joey Porter is officially going to be at the terrible tailgate. That's going to be a fucking banger. So make sure you guys keep your ears out for that. We love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. The comments last week were fucking incredible, Jerry. The people did say they want us to release it earlier in the week, though. So we need to consciously probably start recording on Mondays. Yeah. It's just hard. Yeah. It's hard. Jerry has a late schedule, and he's also an hour back. So it's fucking, I run a business. I own a company outside of this. So early in the week, I'm working. I have a tough schedule, so I have to get to bed at a decent hour. So for us to record on Mondays is tough, but we will fucking try for you guys and get episodes on Tuesdays.
The only thing I can think of is we would have to record during the Sunday night game.
Ooh, emotions would be really raw right then, though. Yeah. I mean, it's doable. I mean, I'm gonna be half fucked up still for those episodes. But here's the thing: that's when I'm firing on all cylinders because the game is so fresh. I have a million ideas in my mind that I would spew. Yeah. That's something that we could do. Mondays are a little bit harder. We could possibly start to do Tuesday mornings and then get it out Tuesday evening. That's another thing that we could look at. So we do hear it. Leave us comments. Tell us what you love about this show. We appreciate the shit out of you guys. We'll see you here next week.
All right. See you next week.
Later, Jared.
We're here. We're still here.
We are still here.